Let's get all those details now. Nick Kunze from Sanlam Private Wealth joins us to unpack those market developments. As usual, Nick, many thanks for your time this afternoon. Let's start with the overall performance of the local bourse. Surely there are other catalysts that contributed to the negative movements that we saw today, but Naspers and Prosus had to be the big ones, over 7% in the red at some stage today, and I gather it's got to do with a little bit of the commotion between tech companies and the Chinese government.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Coming in this morning, if you had said to me that our all share would be pretty much unchanged on the day, I wouldn't have believed you, because, you know, starting off Monday morning, Tencent down almost 8% at one point in Hong Kong. All the other Chinese tech spaces getting a real sort of knock. And that was on a story that broke over the weekend about the Chinese authorities going after the educational, the post-education companies in China that talk about not wanting to make profits, not allowed to raise funds, which begs the question, why would you be listed? And of course that knocked on to some of the other bigger players like Alibaba, our own Tencent, which knocked, of course, Naspers and Prosus. So it was looking pretty ugly this morning, but didn't finish off so badly on the all share overall, actually.
Right, now let's get into some some stocks rather, and I thought it was very interesting, Nick. I didn't get a lot of movement from hospitality stocks, and I thought this might have had a positive kind of ring to them after that level 4 of the lockdown was lifted to by the president last night.
Yeah, you're right. You would have thought the Sun International and hospitality, as you said, Soga Sun, even Distel, Anheuser might have had a bit of a move, but very subdued moves. And in fact, I think you can look at what happened. It was quite a tale of two different markets. You've got obviously the one side, the tech shares on the one side, and the other side, which I'm sure you'll touch on in a second, but some of the miners, the platinum miners, where all the action seemed to be this afternoon and all the volume was as well. So unfortunately, the knock-on effect for the hospitality guys didn't get much attention today with all the action on those other two sides.
And we'll get into those miners in a moment, but I must ask you about Tiger Brands making that announcement about the recalling of tin food. I suppose it's better for them to deal with that financial knock now rather than to deal with litigation issues at a later stage, as was the situation with the Listeria outbreak.
Yeah, I mean, to be a Tiger Brands shareholder, just one knock after another. Yeah, they had to come out with it. That the story, believe it or not, had been doing the rounds for a while. I guess that they were just coming clean with it now and getting it out the way. Share price took a knockdown 4%, but it does beg the question, as you said, straight after the Stereosis deal. Now you've got this incident with the cans. It is a bit of a, but it will say though that it is new management that seems to be tidying up a little bit. But nevertheless, yeah, they really are in hiding to nothing at the moment.
Right, let's get into those mining stocks rather. I'm actually thinking about Anglo Platinum as I ask you this question. They are recording brilliant results, in fact declaring a record dividend. I wonder if it's the highest of this entire year, Nick. Maybe you can shed some light on that.
Yeah, extraordinary numbers. Well, I'll tell you what is the highest. I mean, 175 Rand that they're going to be paying back to shareholders per share. If you think about it, a year ago it was just over 10 Rand. So really, I mean, there's an answer right there for you. Of course, also good news for Anglo-American shareholders, because the majority of that dividend payment will go back towards Anglos, which are majority shareholder. So overall, just tying up with what we're seeing recently, these precious groups, these PGMs, are really making significant money, and nice to see them paying it back to shareholders. So yeah, the biggest move on the day today, sort of offsetting the losses we saw in Prosus and Naspers, Anglo Plats. I had that as one of my biggest movers on the leaderboard, and a really solid set of numbers.
Yeah, and then just finally, based on that, Nick, your outlook on the commodities prices. There's been a lot of volatility over the last 2 weeks or so. Obviously, the miners have benefited a lot from the super cycle, but surely these things come to an end, or there's a correction that happens at some stage.
Well, don't jinx us shareholders just yet. For now, though, the story seems very much intact, but a brief blip last week with iron ore was down over the week. It was back up 3% this morning. Commodities back up. I think we'll take a bit more direction from the Federal Reserve, which are meeting tomorrow and Wednesday. So let's take cue from what that dollar does. A weaker dollar, a bit more of a sort of dovish Fed. This commodity, as you said, super cycle might have further legs to go.
Nick, Kunze, as always, I thank you for your insights. He's from Sanlam Private Wealth, giving us a wrap of the markets day.